I'm going home for a while. Then don't come back. Here are the divorce papers. I've already signed them. Take them and get the hell out of here. My husband hurled the divorce papers at me. I collected the scattered pages and promptly sought out a lawyer's office. My husband is going to regret this. I'm Amelie, 28 years old. My husband, Joseph, is 2 years older than me, and we'd have been married for a year. I've been working as a freelance graphic designer from home since before our marriage. Joseph works as a salesman. A friend of mine introduced us when I was still getting over a recent breakup 2 years ago. At that time, I had no intentions of starting a new relationship, but Joseph insisted on being friends. He supposedly fell in love with me after seeing my pictures, which my friend had shown him. After going out as friends on several occasions, I discovered his affectionate side and eventually fell in love with him. I confessed my feelings to him, and we officially became a couple. He proposed to me 6 months later, and we got married. Honey, you're very lucky to have been chosen by me. I'm the top salesman at work, and many girls are chasing after me. Joseph frequently boasted about his accomplishments after we got married. While he was indeed a good-looking elite businessman, saying it out loud was rather questionable. Back then, I took his arrogance as a charming trait. I was blinded by love, you know. I loved my confident, kind, and manly husband. Despite not having children, I was content with our marriage. However, 1 year after we got married, I started encountering a significant hurdle. Listen, Zoe, when will you make me happy with a grandchild? It was my mother-in-law, Denial. Every time I saw her, she began pressuring me to get pregnant as soon as possible. Joseph and I visited his parents a few times a month since they lived within a 15-minute drive. I had to endure this same question repeatedly. We're still young, and we want to spend a little more time together, I reasoned. But she responded with a loud groan of dismay. You say you're young, but you're turning 30 soon. I gave you a year to see how things go and didn't say anything, so that's enough, isn't it? It's about time you had a baby before it gets too hard on you. She couldn't accept the idea of me working from home, so she didn't consider my work as valid employment. The real reason we weren't ready for pregnancy yet was Joseph's desire to have some more time alone. What are you saying? I don't work from home. I've told you many times that my salary is the same as Joseph's. I suspect that he's lying to cover for you. Aren't you just hanging out at home? That's so not true. Joseph, say something. I implored. However, at times like that, he remained silent, unwilling to support me. He once explained the reason. Mom doesn't really listen to me when I try to explain things to her. It's a waste of time. Just let whatever she says go in one ear and out the other. Still, I was in trouble. I wished he could have at least defended me a little. Instead, he just lay on the sofa, fiddling with his phone and offered evasive responses. Anyway, whatever you say, you're not busy. You'd better fulfill your role as a wife. If you don't get pregnant by the end of this year, I'll ask you to leave Joseph. Excuse me? I was taken aback by her audacious demand. No excuse. Joseph is my only child. I need a daughter-in-law who will leave me a legitimate heir. Joseph didn't even look up from his phone while I was unjustly scolded by his mother. I was so angry that I confronted him about it once we were back home. Han, why didn't you intervene earlier? You needn't convince your mom that it's you who won't delay having kids. I'm sorry, but she's too old-fashioned, Joseph replied. She's stuck with the idea of having kids as soon as you're married. I know, but you could at least try to explain it to her. She's the kind of person who never changes her mind. It's just wasting my energy. I've been telling you from the beginning. Just give her random appropriate answers. But she said she would ask me to leave you if I don't get pregnant by the end of the year. Don't worry, she's just trying to scare you. Look, it's not because she told me to, but I think it's about time for us to start a family. Why did you want a baby? I don't mind. I just want to enjoy the two of us for now. If we have a baby, you'll be busy, and we won't have as much time together. He pulled me close as he spoke, trying to comfort me. I found him adorable and held him tightly. While he knew how to say the right things at home, when we visited his parents' house, he still didn't protect me from his mother. She even began calling me every day, asking if I was pregnant. I was getting sick and tired of her constant pestering. Although I had never mentioned to her that it was Joseph's idea to delay pregnancy, I was concerned about causing a family feud. However, my patience had run out, and I finally decided to tell her the truth, but she vehemently denied it. Is that what you're making him say? There's no way he would say that. Of course not. It's exactly what he tells me. I want to have a baby soon too. Oh, Joseph, is that true? Not exactly. I do want to stay with just the two of us, and she agrees with me too. I was stunned. I did agree with him, but the way he presented it to his mother made it sound like I had lied about wanting a baby soon. Denial glared at me as I expected. You see, you are agreeing with him. Have a baby as soon as possible. Don't keep me waiting forever. Once we got home, I asked him why he had to say it like that to his mother. He promised to clarify things with her next time, but he never did. Around that time, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed and frustrated by these constant family issues. Then one day, I discovered the reason Joseph didn't want a baby. It was a weekend, and he had made plans to go out with his friends. I was initially just lounging around at home, dreading the upcoming visit to Denial in the evening. However, I decided to go out to distract myself and felt a bit better after some shopping. I was about to take a coffee break when I saw something that shocked me. In the terrace section of the cafe, I spotted Joseph with a woman, her baby, and they seemed to be having a pleasant conversation. I quickly hid behind a wall to avoid being seen by them. My mind went blank and I watched in disbelief. Joseph had told me he was going out with a friend, but I had never met this woman before. I couldn't tear my eyes away as I saw him cradle the baby lovingly, kiss the baby on the cheek, and act so affectionately. After all the discussions and denials about pregnancy, my heart ached as I watched him shower affection on someone else's baby. I began to question whether he truly loved me and if he was cheating on me. My vision blurred with tears, and I felt an overwhelming sense of betrayal. The thought weighed even heavier on my heart. I discreetly took a picture of the three of them enjoying their time together. Just as I was about to leave, I saw Joseph handing an envelope to the woman and then standing up. In a rush, I left the cafe, determined not to run into him. He arrived home about 15 minutes after I did, and without wasting any time, I confronted him. "Hey Han, you went out with your friend, right?" "Yep, what's up? Is she your friend too?" I showed him the picture I had taken earlier, and his face drained of color. "What? Why do you have this picture?" "I just happened to come across you guys while I was out shopping." "What's going on? Explain it to me. Have you been cheating on me?" "No way, I haven't." "Then who is this? And what was the envelope you handed her at the end?" As I continued to question him, he began to explain with a look of dismay on his face. "Well, I was planning to tell you sooner or later. You know, I'm quite popular, right? So I had a few flings before I met you, and one of them got pregnant." I was left utterly speechless by his confession. "Huh?" I stammered. He went on, "I found out after we got married. She was already 28 weeks pregnant when she told me, and she was determined to have the baby. It was my fault for ignoring her when she tried to get in touch with me earlier. She didn't ask for marriage but wanted me to recognize the baby. I felt bad for the child to be fatherless, so I acknowledged it. I asked her for a once-a-month visitation right in return. She was also having a hard time financially, so I'm paying her child support." My head was spinning upon hearing his revelation, and my legs gave way. "Honey, are you okay?" He rushed to my side, but I recoiled, refusing his touch. "Wait a minute. Something doesn't add up. She was 28 weeks pregnant when we got married. Does that mean you were with her while we were dating?" "I'm telling you, it's not like that. When we became official, I completely cut ties with her. But we weren't officially a couple yet." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even though we weren't officially a couple, Joseph had clearly shown his intention to be in a relationship with me. Yet he had been involved with someone else during that time. I was at a loss for words and didn't know what to make of this revelation. "Well, yeah," he mumbled. I had never expected him to be so irresponsible. I was furious that he had never mentioned it even after a year of marriage. "So since you already have a baby, is that why you don't want to have one with me yet?" I demanded. He flinched and then made an awkward smile. "No, I want a baby with you at some point, but as I said before, I'm paying child support every month. If we were to have a baby, you might need to take a break from work. If that happens, it's going to be very tight financially. I thought about starting a family with you after I get a raise." I was already beyond angry and simply dumbfounded. "Well then, make sure you tell your mother about this." "No way." "Yes, I'm the one who's always been blamed by her, and you turned a blind eye. You even made it sound like I didn't want a baby." "No, I can't tell my parents that I have a child with another woman." "What the hell? That's so selfish. I had to unknowingly go along with your selfish ego every time and was made to feel bad about it." "Watch your tongue. Are you trying to say you don't like being with my family?" "I didn't say that. I'm saying that I was unreasonably blamed because of you. I don't dislike denial." "What's with your attitude? I've apologized. Why are you still complaining? Don't you forget that you're lucky to be married to an excellent man like me." I was amazed by his arrogance. How could he so easily expect me to accept such a serious matter just because I was his wife? I was also furious that he had been hiding the illegitimate child from his parents. I couldn't forgive him for making me the scapegoat in front of his mother, even though it was his fault. Just because I'm your wife doesn't mean I can accept everything. Anyway, I'm leaving, and while I'm gone, you'll also need to think about it. As I was about to get up, he beat me to it and went into the bedroom. He returned with something and threw it at me. Then don't come back here. If you can't accept me for who I am, you're not my wife. Here, the divorce papers. I've already signed them. Take them and get the hell out of here. He threw the divorce papers at me. The fact that he had already signed them stunned me. It meant that he had prepared them in advance. I couldn't believe it. He smiled sarcastically and said, "You never know what's going to happen in life, so you have to be prepared for everything." Well, I like your appearance, but if you can't accept me, I don't need you anymore. Fortunately, there are many women who throw themselves at me. I just have to choose a good one. In other words, he believed he could easily replace me with another woman. His arrogance infuriated me. I had only wanted to calmly consider our future, including his illegitimate child, but he not only prevented me from doing so but also belittled me by suggesting that many women could take my place. I clenched the divorce papers tightly and glared at him. "I didn't think you were such a scumbag," I seethed. "I will give you the divorce you wish for. I'll collect my belongings when you're not here. I doubt we will ever see each other again. Goodbye." I stormed out of the house and started searching for a lawyer on my phone. However, I knew that I couldn't contain my anger just by leaving at that moment. Once I reached my parents' house, I told my father about the entire situation. I took the next day off work to pack my things. I had thought I had a happy marriage, so I was deeply disappointed to realize I had married such a scoundrel. Tears welled up, but I tried to convince myself that it was a blessing to have figured this out before wasting more years. When the packing was done and the movers arrived to pick up my belongings, I received a call from Joseph. "Hello, Zoe. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." He sounded frantic as he apologized. I couldn't help but grin at the desperation in his voice. "No way, I can't forgive you," I replied. "You initiated the divorce anyway. I simply gave you what you wanted." No, that was just a joke," he pleaded. "I mean, I've realized what I've done, and I'm sorry." "You haven't done anything with the divorce papers yet, have you?" "Of course I have," I replied firmly. "I've already consulted a lawyer. Let's just forget the divorce and start over. I can't live without you after all." I couldn't help but think that my father had pushed him to the edge of a cliff. It was expected. My father was the CEO of a major client of his company. Joseph, in the heat of the moment, must have forgotten all about it when he threw the divorce papers at me. I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction, knowing that he was facing consequences for his actions. I casually asked, "Have you lost the contract with that major client? That's a shame. I can't believe the elite salesman made such a blunder." I decided to see how he would handle the situation on his own. "Well, that's what I'm going to do, start over without you. Since there are apparently plenty of women to replace me, I wish you good luck finding one." I hung up the phone and relished the feeling of triumph. Later, my father informed me that Joseph had been demoted for losing the contract. He was lucky not to have been fired. The incident had taken a toll on the company's business, and his colleagues seemed to view him with disapproval. He also had the courage to confess to his parents about the illegitimate child. Initially, they were happy and even tried to arrange a marriage between him and the mother of the child. However, when they learned that the woman was very poor, they changed their minds. Joseph approached me once more, asking to start over, but I firmly declined. Who would willingly return to that mother-in-law and ex-husband? Meanwhile, our divorce was finalized, and I moved back in with my parents. I recently secured a contract with a major company, and my career is progressing well. I've devoted myself to my work, with hopes of someday meeting someone truly wonderful.